and welcome to the Old Man Orange podcast. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
And I'm Ryan Dunigan.
Oh,
And
so
I went on Bing today, and don't ask me how I came across this, but I came across a little something that was just, it's like, really? Is this happening? I had to double check the month to make sure it wasn't April.
is this
but
good or bad news? Is it something in between?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out, but at the moment it's more of a, are you fucking serious kind of news? Like, are we really there? Are we really there? All right. I'm not even gonna read the headline because it says what it is about, like in the first sentence. This is a Wall Street Journal article by Mike Ayers. Maybe I'm mispronouncing the last name.
Wall Street Journal.
Yeah. No, I think Ayers, like Ayers. So Ayers.
I guess
Yeah.
it's like Eris, like from Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
He's got a fucking girl's name.
Well, this is video game. This is video game related. So, okay, a film adaptation of the classic '80s video game Tetris will be falling into theaters sometime in the near future.
Oh boy!
Threshold Entertainment has teamed up with the Tetris company. Tetris has a company. That's great. To develop a live-action film based on the game. While no directors or cast are attached to the film yet, there is a story in place. And in quotes. It's a very big
story.
Epic
Quotation.
It's a very big epic sci-fi movie. Threshold CEO Larry Kasanoff tells Speakeasy exclusively, "This isn't a movie with a bunch of lines running around the page. We're not giving feet to geometric shapes." Well, that's good to know.
Dude, you know what this movie should be?
And
let me say
I'm not even done yet.
This is what this movie should be. It should be like fucking Fantasia. That's the only way you can. If you're gonna do a movie, just say like you have a gun to your head. You're like, you fucking make that Tetris movie, boy.
Fantasia is the best way to go about it.
I think so. Make it fucking just like colorful and musical and make it animated and shit. Just like make it fucking entertainment somehow or a way.
Or just, the next thing you could do is probably just point like the point a camera at like a 1990s like Windows screensaver.
What if the movie was just like all it was just a guy playing Tetris for like an hour and a half? There.
Well, I think but it should be like, like high stakes underground Tetris tournament or something like that. The guy has like, or like something even like Saw, if you want to get edgy, he has to play Tetris. If he fucks up, he has this gun rigged to the back of his head or something like that to where he fucks up,
Every time he loses, he gets a limb chopped off.
Something like that, that's the only way you
So he's sitting there with like his torso and one arm left, like, I can fucking do it. I got it.
The part where he's doing it with his tongue. He's doing it with his tongue by a certain point, yeah.
And it takes place in the 80s.
Yeah,
takes place in the 80s. There's no fucking other way.
So Kasanoff's best known for adapting Mortal Kombat games to the big screen. 1995 Mortal Kombat grossed $70 million according to Box Office Mojo, with the 1997 sequel Mortal Kombat Annihilation grossing $35 million. For Threshold, they're hoping to build off the brand's notoriety and legacy. It's like,
that's really all you're building off of.
Yeah.
You're literally just, that is literally the thought process of going, this title is popular. Doesn't make a difference what it's about. Just the name, people know what that is. And that's all you're literally running off of.
We had the Lego movie, but granted, Lego movies are like anamorphic characters based on things. So
the thing about Legos, though, that's still a pretty complicated thing comparative to like a puzzle game. By that notion, we can make a Dr. Mario movie, and we can make a Columns movie, and we can make a Bubble Bobble movie.
If we made a Dr. Mario
Pop movie.
If we made a Dr. Mario movie, you could at least make it like a Mario Brothers medical drama.
Yeah,
you can at least do that shit.
That
you can make
I feel like you can make a story out of it. If you're gonna try anything, attempt it with Dr. Mario. There's characters in place.
It would be like ER but with Mario characters. Like Yoshi's dying of cancer. Mario promised he would like save him, but he can't. He has to cope with the guilt. He and Peach are arguing.
Yoshi's got those little mite things inside of him, and like Mario's like, okay, I got to get the right combination of drugs into Yoshi's system.
It just cuts to a screen of the tick 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 of like the pills dropping down. It cuts back to him, very serious, dramatic shots, low lighting.
The light at the top swinging back and forth. You know, it's like the only light in the room.
Daisy is his nurse. She's wiping sweat from his brow. He actually has a love triangle between him and Daisy and Peach. You know, it's all
Luigi
secret.
drives the ambulance.
Luigi's back. Luigi doesn't know. He's like, well, he's wondering why Daisy isn't talking to him anymore. You know, so fuck there.
She gets up. She gets up. She's like, Luigi, you're out every night. You're driving that ambulance all day long. There's no time for love.
He's like, why can't you be more like your brother? He actually has a PhD. That ambulance, oh, it's always comes back to Mario, doesn't it? Why don't you go fuck Mario if that's the one you want? It just is very.
I hate to break it to you, but that's what I am doing.
It's
fucking Mario. Get over it, Luigi.
This would have to be a show. This would have to be a Showtime or HBO show, and then
Donkey Kong fucking he's like the guy who owns the hospital.
Be Donkey Kong, and then you could have one. What happens at some point? One of the Koopa. No. Bowser Jr. has a cocaine overdose. And he gets rushed into the hospital. Like, you know, Bowser comes up with all his minions, takes over the hospital, as if my son dies, so does everybody in this hospital. Like, Bowser's like the city, like, crime lord or something like that. He's the mayor.
He's corrupt.
He's corrupt. This is a very corrupt Mushroom Kingdom. Exactly.
Yeah, and it takes place, for some reason, it takes place in just kind of like the Mushroom City.
Yeah. So, that already sounds better than what at least we got like a basis.
No. Wario and Waluigi, they're the fucking underground mob, and Bowser's the mayor, and then he's working with them.
Oh, I want to see this movie now. I really want to see this
Tetris movie. Make the Dr. Mario movie.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I like Tetris, but dude, Dr. Mario is the superior fucking.
And we know what else? I like Peeps. That doesn't even gotta make a fucking movie off that, which they are.
Yeah. I guess you can make a movie off anything.
Peeps. Well, no, you can't.
Are they going to serve you Peeps in the theater? Like, you know, as you're watching, you're like, man, I could really go for some Peeps. And then all of a sudden, there's like a hot dog vendor like guy like, Peeps, get ya Peeps. Yeah, we got Peeps. You're like, yeah, throw them over here for $5. You're kind of waving up in the air. He chucks a Peeps across like the movie theater. Get fucking hit in the eye because it goes to like a dark scene.
Then they'll say something like, "Oh, you're distracting me." He's like, he turns like, "There's no fucking story to it. Who the fuck?" You know, that's like one of the few movies where you just won't give a shit if someone's talking throughout the whole movie.
Just the fucking Peeps vendor breaks it down like, "Are you a fucking idiot? The whole point of this movie is for me to make money selling you Peeps. You fucking idiot."
Yeah, take another bag, man. Tits.
Now, give me $5.
Now I'm gonna go on and just read a few more things from this. And if the film does well, Kasanoff isn't looking to limit the Tetris world just to a big screen experience. We certainly have a canvas for location-based entertainment based on the epicness. Based on the epicness.
Because when I think Tetris, I think epic.
Yeah. I mean, this really sounds like a very, this sounds like it's a cash grab, obviously. But at the same time, it's like, all right, if no one's going to go see Battleship, which had a bunch of names behind it, and on top of that, it's a more manageable basis for to have I mean, I'm not saying that I never saw it. It looks fucking stupid, but that at least seems more manageable than fucking Tetris.
Well, Battleship, even though that's more just one of those ones. It's like all you gotta do is say you're pitting ships against ships. You know what I mean? And then you can make a storyline over it. You already got a setup. Tetris doesn't have it unless you're doing the fucking underground Tetris ring. Where it's fucking like The Wizard 2. And these kids now are on another fucking adventure. Except for they're not kids anymore. They're now adults, but they've spent their entire life playing video games. And now it's a make or break situation. Their fucking dad's gonna die. And believe me, once he saw him fucking like that, the wizard achieve all that success from playing games, he believed him. He took him to the next step. But now he's dying of cancer. And they fucking need money. And there's only one way to do it because it's a movie. And movies only have one way. So he's got to go down. And he's got to battle the Rain Man in fucking Tetris.
Originally, it was Mortal Kombat. This, I want to, because at one point we were talking about the movie. It's like have the Rain Man
versus the Wizard.
Where's the Wizard? Because only the Rain Man could memorize some of the combos you have to do in Mortal Kombat. So the ultimate movie crossover, Rain Man versus the Wizard.
Mortal Kombat 3 literally is one of those games it's impossible to really remember more than about 2 characters' entire move list. It's like fuck that.
And Christian Slater, he's forcing his younger brother to go back to these tournaments. because he's just gonna force his like mentally challenged brother to feed his cocaine addiction, and same thing like that same like same thing Tom Cruise was doing back in Rain Man. So
Rain Man's one of those movies.
And I think there should be like this parallel action near the end when they're having their ultimate showdown in Mortal Kombat. Like, for them it's just like, oh, we're playing games, we're having fun, this is what we like to do. Then they cut back to like a real life like fight that's paralleling the actual fight that's going on between Christian Slater and Tom Cruise. Like the music overplaying.
And they're fighting over a bag of cocaine.
Yeah, with like Zack Snyder, like slow-mo, like Mortal Kombat music in the background. And I'll be honest, I like Tom Cruise more. But let's just, for the sake of like shock value, Christian Slater wins and knocks Tom Cruise off. Like they're fighting at a construction ring, like an abandoned construction site, and for some reason there's like jagged, like I don't know, like poles sticking out of some ground or some cement was supposed to be poured in. Yeah, B-bar like sticking up. And as soon as you see like Scorpion or whoever go down and get impaled, he cuts to Tom Cruise
getting impaled.
Remember Rain Man? Remember everything you loved about it? Well, it's not exactly here, but
it's a sequel you always wanted that you never mentioned.
And Wizard? Well, you didn't ask for it, but you're fucking getting it anyway.
It's our only way to sell this. It was a Tetris movie. It kind of progresses into a Mortal Kombat movie. I don't know. That just was. It just seems weird that like somebody has to sit down and go. Not only do they say like I'm gonna make a Tetris movie. It's not like it's like it's not like some independent movie you're gonna go shoot. Like you're gonna make it kind of funny for the internet, like a 10-minute long little short. No, it's literally something going. It
sounds like a Funny or Die sketch. It really sounds like
throwing in $100 million+ to make a Tetris movie.
I'm gonna feel like, if this was on The Onion or something, like, all right, but I'm looking at it, it's on Wall Street Journal, unless Wall Street Journal got the, unless there's a joke and they didn't get it, or I don't know. I'm gonna feel like such a dumbass if like a day later, because this is probably a few days old by the time we post this. I'm gonna feel like such a fucking dumbass if like a few days later, like, yeah, that was a big joke, you fucking idiots. You really believe that bullshit?
Who cares? Look at this. If we didn't have this Tetris story, we wouldn't get our little like, what if Dr. Mario story.
That's a good point, but
that Dr. Mario movie, that right there, that is fucking a moneymaker.
All right, now here's something I want to actually clarify. It could just be a small little typo, but it goes on the next paragraph. Over the past several years, Threshold has worked mostly in animation space, including large digital productions with Marvel, Lego, and Star Wars. Now, here's something I want to actually stop with that real quick. It says with Marvel, Lego, and then when it gets Star Wars, it's in quotes. Maybe that's just a typo that got by them, but Star Wars are saying, so I don't really know. They're coming like with Star Wars, wink, wink, but Marvel and Lego, yeah, those are totally normal.
So I don't know. Is there like some Disney movie then?
I don't. It might be, but it says over the past several years, Threshold has worked mostly in animation space, including large digital productions.
Well, there's that new Star Wars, like that Rebels show that looks kind of sweet that just came out.
The original
maybe that's the animation they're talking about, or
maybe that, or like it could be also like miscellaneous kind of like just special commercials.
Effects. Oh yeah, that too.
Commercials or just the TV show, or maybe just even cutscenes for video games. It doesn't say what movies, it just says like animation. So like it could even be as much as like, yeah, it could be like just something for an ad for like a Marvel toy or something. But it says the original Tetris, and now Tetris is suddenly in quotes as well. Tetris was released in June 1984 from Soviet games designer Alexei Pezhevin. I'm not going to pronounce that right. It quickly became the world's most wide. Okay, we know the rest from here. So
we know the Tetris story.
Yeah, and then it says what you see in Tetris is the tiny tip of an iceberg that is an intergalactic significance, Kasanoff says. So yeah, that's happening.
See, this one, they really are just going about this wrong. It's like, the more I think about it, you can make a Tetris movie, but make it about like literally the game Tetris. Don't make it like it's a world of Tetris. As I said, I think the fucking underground tournament. That's the only way you can go, man.
Make it look. You know what? Make it in the '80s, but do it like. Even though I think he was dead by this point, maybe he was dead. I don't know. Do like an 80s, like it's set in the 80s, but almost like a Sam Peckinpah movie. Some dude driving down like in a GTO down some dusty highway. Maybe you see like a Tetris block painted on the side of like the car. Pulls in, goes into some like dank old like.
His nickname's Block.
There you go. His name's
just
Block.
goes into like some bar. The music fucking stops when he walks in. The dust starts to settle, and over in the corner there's a fucking Tetris arcade machine.
The Tetris cabinet starts playing it. Like Block. He's like, I don't go by that name anymore. Looks over his shoulder. He's like, well, we got your daughter. Just like, I don't have a daughter. Like, you want us to think that, but we fucking know. You want her back, you gotta do a favor for us. You gotta go in this high stakes Tetris tournament. Just make it that. There you go.
You learn later on that this guy, Block, is actually the fucking wizard all grown up.
He learned to talk.
In time, and he's become a loner since then.
It always comes back to the
He's
wizard.
like the road warrior. No, really, if you want,
he still carries like a big brick Game Boy on him. Like you think it's a gun. He's reaching for it. They reach for their guns.
Like it's like a holster. It's in a holster.
Yeah. Then he pulls out the Game Boy and just starts playing it. Like says, "What do I have to say to that?" They just reach for it. And, like just pulls out. And says, I don't play it that way. I just play it for fun now. It's the way I can live. Last time I played for money.
Fun. Last time you never played for fun.
Last time I played for money, my brother Christian Bale Christian Slater got into a major heroin addiction.
And then
he said, one more taste.
And then when he was all high, he punched out some other guy and killed him.
Some guy. He looked like that guy from far and away.
Yeah, also sort of looked like the guy from Born on the 4th of July. I'm not too sure, but now he's dead because of me.
I'm done with that now.
Really, here's a realistic way and a serious way you could probably go about making the Tetris movie. Just make the whole movie about that game getting made. It's it's like a biopic, and then the kind of the secondary part of the story, because there's a lot of like when that game was made, all the companies, Atari, Nintendo, Sega, everybody fucking showed up their doorstep trying to get the rights to that stuff. And there's a huge story behind it. So right there is your fucking material. Just make it that. That would be, something. So biopics, I think, are always hard sells. Because, you look at how many biopics even go to theaters, first off. Few.
You could even, how many of movies that actually are biopics are actually really based on true stories anyway? So I wonder, like, if you could possibly just even do it like, do it kind of like a Martin. I'm just kind of going off other directors here. Just do it like a Martin Scorsese movie. Like all these companies, or make it or like Pi or something. All these companies, Nintendo or whatever, chase them down.
Like
they chase him down, try to twist his arm for the rights. Mario comes in with a hammer, starts breaking his fingers.
The very end, it just ends with Alexi just fucking drilling in like nobody can have my code.
Yeah. What's his name? Bill Gates screwed him over. Not Bill Gates. Steve Jobs screwed him over. Wozniak, David Wozniak comes in, starts like
Wozniak.
Steve Wozniak starts like roughing him up, like give us the fucking game, man. So it becomes this very this very dark crime. Just go that, man. There's a million things you can go, a million places you can go with the Tetris movie, other than the one they are going with.
Yeah,
I mean, granted, they just said it's going to be a sci-fi epic, which I don't know.
Why?
Is it just going to 2001 Odyssey blocks just stacking on top of each other? Is that what it's going to fucking be with playing over it the whole time?
And then like chimps down below.
Yeah.
I would see that one over that's the sci-fi epic I would go see.
Or like maybe it's the sequel. I mean, I know there's books that are actual sequels. I never saw 2010 Space Odyssey or 2000, whatever
There's a movie for 2010.
2010?
They just never made a movie for 3001, which is the third one.
Oh, okay. I never even read the book or saw the second movie. It was like, oh, Kubrick didn't do it, so I don't know. I just know it's just a very shitty way to go about it. But
when I was a kid, I watched it because I had like a tape copy of 2010, but I really don't remember it very well. I should go back and watch it again. It's been a long time. They should do a 3001 one.
What if it's like it's kind of like this is gonna sound like such a fucking weird comparison. What if it's kind of like Godfather 2 for 2001 Space Odyssey, where there's one story that's still in the past, but then one story still moving forward. How you kind of get Michael's story, then it can be continues.
So what? You get to see where that ape
So you can see the monkeys.
When
Well,
the
no,
monkey kill, it just takes place afterwards, and it's him going on.
and then no, so the monkey, then it just shows the monkey, like it just shows like that brick and just all the bricks stacking in front of the monkeys. The monkeys just freaking the fuck out for like 2 hours, you
And
know.
it's playing the Tetris theme song.
Yeah.
We decided to combine 3001 and Tetris together. Sort of going up the source material, but sort of not at the same time.
You know, I figure we get some like highbrow, like, you know, Kubrick fans who would probably prefer us to leave it alone, but fuck them, it's money. And
Plus, that Dawn of the Planet of the Apes was popular.
yeah, stats show for that. And you know, they've been talking about possibly doing a Donkey Kong movie, so fuck it, you know.
I feel like there's producers that literally sit there and all they have on their screen, they never watch movies. They just watch numbers.
What movie did good? And then there's probably a couple
Numbers
of key
and letters.
words that are a couple of key words that are in that thing. Like it's a couple of tags, like this is what this movie had: monkeys with machine guns, Gary Oldman, San Francisco.
Yeah.
What did this movie have? This movie had 70s pop, a raccoon with a gun, and Chris Pratt. You know, so I think that's almost kind of the
What
way
that Lego movie have? It had Chris Pratt and Legos.
and Batman. So yeah. Who knows? I mean, look, if I'm gonna feel like such an asshole if 2 years from now, if we end up coming on the podcast saying, "Wow, actually, Tetris was really good." I don't know how they did it, but it's kind of like how Lego. I'm gonna really feel like such an asshole if that happens. But you know, once I saw the trailer for Lego, I was like, "Oh wow, this could actually work." You know.
And then lo and behold, it did work really well.
Yeah, well, I thought it was gonna be when I first heard the Lego movie. They're making a Lego movie. I thought it was gonna be kind of like
Just kiddie as fuck.
kiddie as fuck. Well, what I assumed it was gonna be was it was gonna be like, I don't know, just this is what came to mind. It was gonna be like we talked about it, I think like last week, or not last week, like a few weeks ago, when like those movies where kids would get sucked into like other worlds, like whether it be medieval times or like Page Master or some shit.
So
And
some kid's playing with Legos, and then all of a sudden he gets
sucked
fucking
into
like
their
sucked into the
world.
box.
Sucked into their world, and they're having like Lego puns the whole time, and I assumed it was going to be something stupid like that. But it's like, oh no, it just took place in, and it had actually, I guess to an extent, there's a twist. It had a sort of that to an extent, like you saw it was a kid playing a game the whole time, but it was at least creative and a visually interesting movie. So and funny as shit too.
Yeah.
So yeah. Plus, it had Batman.
Yeah, plus it had Batman. That was like one of those ones like you want to find a way to make this movie just pure perfect, put Batman in there. Fuck, the movie's already great as is, but you throw Batman in there and you fucking got a masterpiece.
I bet that had to be a note from Warner Brothers. Like, Batman has to be in the movie a lot. He doesn't have to be the main character, but he has to be in it a lot.
But we're Warner Brothers. We've realized that you put Batman in it, it sells.
Batman's basically like if I guess you would say, I mean, I was almost said 20th Century Fox, not anymore. Now it's Disney. But going back to like, you know, probably like 2 years and back, I guess Batman would be their Star Wars by this point.
Yeah, pretty much.
By this point,
yeah. But Batman's just one of those ones. That's almost like DC does it all the time, where it's just like you need to sell this series, put Batman on the cover. Fuck.
Occasionally,
all he's got to do is be on
Superman.
if he's in the first issue, that's all that matters. As long as people buy it, then they might go to the next one.
Yeah, occasionally Superman, but Batman, or at least something linked to Batman, so that'll get people to check it out. That's why I read Outsiders, because Nightwing was part of the Outsiders, then he left. Which
yeah, but mostly if you have something, kind of Batman related, you know. But then
that's more for the fans. I mean, Outsiders was good. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, as I say, like a lot of times, like Robin, you have to be kind of like a real big Batman fan, and then you're like, wherever Robin goes, I'll go too.
Well, that was my entry into Teen Titans. Then I realized Teen Titans was so kind of like
Teenage.
Man, it like they don't understand me, which that can be okay even as an adult, but it has to be at least written well. And Jeff Johns is a good writer, but it just felt that one was too much of like, I don't give a fuck about your problems.
I feel like Teen Titans was once maybe you'd enjoy it if you read it when you're like 12. Like that was
or even probably like 15 or so. But yeah, by that point it's kind of harder to get into the whole kind of like it's so hard being a teenager, which those stories can still be good, like Perks of Being a Wallflower, or I saw Linklater's new movie Boyhood a little bit ago. And you know, so if you can tell it right, it's good, but it felt like the same old thing, just with like, you know, like I don't know, it just didn't
felt
really
kind of like CW-ish.
It didn't feel it wasn't god awful. It just didn't really jump out to me. I read the first few volumes of like Jeff Johns' run. It just didn't do nothing for me, and I was like, okay, whatever. Well,
You think that Jeff Johns would have probably made it just a little bit more interesting, or not so teeny, but
Yeah, I mean, well, he's one of those people. He is a good writer, but there's some stuff that it's every so often it just feels like he kind of phoned it in. So I think that's anybody. I mean,
And,
I love,
he's
I
writing
love
so
Jeff.
much shit that he's probably like concentrated on Green Lantern, Flash, and Aquaman, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey Jeff, you want to do some Teen Titans? Yeah, I'll get that. I'll get to you. Here's a
Yeah,
couple sketch notes. Here, you figure it out.
yeah, I love his Flash stuff. Flashpoint was fantastic. I didn't read any of his Green Lantern stuff. I haven't read any Green Lantern really, but
That
yeah,
last Green Lantern book I had, I don't know if I told you this, but I finished it a couple of weeks ago. And
it's like his goodbye to Green
yeah, it's
Lantern.
literally, and he kind of goes like, I'm going to end Green Lantern all at the same time too.
Well, it's
Fuck that
kind of
next
like,
writer. He's going to make something else. He's not using my shit.
did he like kill off a bunch of them or something?
No,
I know
it shows them all when they're old. So it literally does a thing where they have this humongous, big, ginormous battle. Everybody known to mankind in the Green Lantern universe is there. And then, once that conflict's resolved, it kind of does that thing like, it shows everybody like as they're like way older, So it shows, Hal Jordan's married. John Stewart's, John Stewart's, not president, but which I know that sounds weird. Yeah, he's like senator. So I know it's kind of like that's like the new thing to do. It's like, well, what happened to black guy? Oh, he went into politics.
like, what happened to black guy? That's all. Was not the black guy.
Well, in Green Lantern, that's
progression. I mean,
he really is. No, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but I just noticed it's kind of like ever since Barack Obama, it's just kind of like that's now like the go-to story.
Whatever, mixes it up a bit, you know.
And then,
originally originally he just kind of progresses upward. He went from being he's all around. John Stewart's probably one of the he's my favorite Green Lantern out of the ones I know. I mean, I haven't read Green Lantern. I'm going off Justice League and the Green Lantern. When Green Lantern appears in other books, and John Stewart's probably my favorite. Hal Jordan's cool, but I like John Stewart.
I like Hal Jordan more. I like Guy Gardner more. And Guy Gardner, he pretty much just shows him. He's like he's like fucking Lobo. He's like a space bar or whatnot. He's got like a couple like alien hookers on him and whatnot. And then he gets like in a bar fight, and they're like, "Oh, wait a second." They learn it's like, "Oh, you're the legendary fucking
Does he still have the bowl cut?
No. Once they got rid of the bowl cut, Guy Gardner became a really cool character. Okay. I actually like that character because it's just like more just because like he's weird. It's like he's likable. He's like a likable douche, really, when it gets down to it.
So he's
I don't really know how he
like
got the ring. There's no good explanation how Guy Gardner came across the ring. I know he loses it after a while, and then he gets superpowers somehow.
Well, I can understand what you mean about the likable douche because I really like Lobo, but he is like the biggest space douche ever. He really is space douche #1.
That's kind of how Guy Gardner reminds. He kind of reminds me of Lobo, sort of.
Yeah.
And then Kyle Rayner, he's cool too. He's one of those kind of guys. Nothing. He's more just like
he seems like the guy they brought in to young it up.
Yeah, that's kind of like that. And I feel like they kind of just bring him in. Really, because you look at all the other characters, it's like, okay, Hal Jordan, he's a military guy. Guy Gardner, he's a football player. John Stewart, he's a detective, sort of. Isn't that what he is?
Well, I thought he started off. I want to say when they first created him, he started off as like an architect. Because he's everything. He's like an architect, politician, soldier, all this shit all at once.
For some reason, I thought he was like, when he first starts off, he almost feels like he's Shaft. Without making him feel like Shaft, just feels like he's kind of
maybe they changed it for the reboot.
Crimes and whatnot the whole time.
Maybe they changed it for the reboot.
I don't know, but yeah. So it's like you have all these. I guess they made Kyle Rayner because they're like, okay, here you go. Here's an artistic guy. He doesn't really have too much knowledge of the outside world. He just read books his whole time and drew pictures.
I think it was the Kyle Rayner they used when the Green Lantern had a cameo or was in the episode of like Superman. Because I know they would occasionally bring in other like not in Batman, but in Superman they'd bring in other DC characters. Like there's an episode where he met Flash, and I want to say Kyle Rayner is the one that he did for Green Lantern.
Yeah, they used Kyle Rayner, which I thought that was cool, just because it's different, because you always see Hal Jordan or John Stewart, so to throw Kyle Rayner in there, it's like, well, that's cool, because he never gets the fucking spotlight on TV.
He was in an episode of Justice League Unlimited, which was cool.
Oh yeah, he was. Well, that show was great about bringing just everybody in. Even if they only had like one episode or a bit part, at least they like got him in there somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm.
But what were you going off again? Fucking Jeff Johns. Was that where that all led to?
Yeah, I left the Jeff Johns, and you're talking about how basically the Green Lantern right now, they just kind of said, this is my ending. Is it kind of like, is they did the kind of thing like, this is my ending. To me, this is how it all ends. If you want to put your own ending,
It
fuck
doesn't
you.
say
This
that
is...
at all. It just kind of, more. It just feels
I know it doesn't
very
literally say that like a big long paragraph.
like I had to
little
explain this
drawing
out
of
to
like
you,
little
Jeff
Jim
John.
Lee drawing of like of Jeff Johns flipping the bird. You know?
No, it just kind of ends like it ends like just almost if you were going to end like a big epic movie series. It's not.
Okay.
It's what's like it totally works. I think that's a total fine thing just to finally kind of have that end, and then God knows where that book goes next. All I know is kind of like Swell's like, well, there's a bunch of other Jeff Johns books that I can go out and pick. I mean, there's probably fucking 30 Green Lantern books out there that he wrote.
Well, I guess to bring it back to DC and kind of like another movie, I guess. I mean, this isn't really what they planned for, but is it more of kind of like, all right, now don't get me wrong, I still love Dark Knight, but the way Dark Knight ends, they clearly have the idea to bring Joker back. Because that speech at the end that sums up Joker and Batman's like relationship perfectly. Then Heath Ledger died, so they just went, fuck. What now? Is that kind of like what? Is that kind of what maybe
No,
it
ends totally perfect. No complaints whatsoever.
Well, it's not
No.
so much. It's nothing on the movie. It's nothing on the movie, but it's kind of like, what are we gonna do afterwards? Is it kind of like? Because I mean, I think everybody's like, well, what are they gonna do after this? Because the Joker's gone. So is there a little bit, maybe not that exactly, but something to like that effect? Like, well, the way this ends, this character's gone, that character's gone. All of this is resolved. Where do they go next? Is it kind of like that?
No, not everything's totally resolved. It's one of those endings that's like a perfect ending. Like no, there's no more questions, that need to be answered. I mean, now like let's just say whoever takes over Green Lantern Volume 4 for New
Has a
52.
lot to live up to.
Well, that too, for the fact you have to like follow up after a fucking 10-year run of Jeff Johns. But other than that, who literally wrote practically every Green Lantern books there was, including like the core and all the side ones, the Red Lanterns and whatnot. But because there was a new Green Lantern created in the very last like book. There was the Middle Eastern guy. So whoever writes it next can just kind of go like, okay, this is where it takes up with this Green Lantern, because really it goes from like, okay, huge ending battle, conflict, resolved, and then it kind of cuts all the way to the future. So you have these like 50 years in between that you can still fill in with material.
I guess other writers like, fuck, I really wanted to kill Guy Gardner. I really wanted to fucking kill Guy Gardner.
Oh, Guy Gardner can't die now.
Yeah. Or he could always die and can't come back later. They always do that,
Yeah, all this weird shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But did you get to catch Gotham?
I actually did. I watched it a little bit before we recorded today. And that's kind of, it's almost kind of like, I feel, because that's what happened last week. That's what happened this week.
Just
it was like,
forcefully have to watch it.
Well, no, did you watch Gotham? Like, oh, fuck, I forgot about Gotham. It was like, oh, I got like an hour for the podcast. I should probably watch this thing real quick.
Well, it was one of those ones like, it taped on Monday or whatever. And I didn't really have any desire to like go up there anytime soon and watch it, And then like I didn't even watch it till Tuesday night. I was like, I'll get to it, It wasn't like Arrow or something else that kind of jumps at me like, man, I can't wait to see the next one. It was just kind of like, I hopefully hope it's better, but only one way to find out, I guess. And then really, if we didn't do this podcast, I probably still wouldn't have watched it. I will say that the podcast kind of forced me to watch it because you know what else? Because Beware the Batman came out yesterday too. The second.
Oh, on DVD?
Yeah, the second part did.
Oh, I'm buying that shit. I'm going to Target as soon as we're done here, and I'm buying that shit.
Yeah, which I'm not too sure if that's the last one, because like, did they only have one season, or did they have a season
I heard
and a
they were
half?
canceled. I heard they're just doing like one season. That's what I heard. I heard that because they're going on to some new Batman show. I guess this thing didn't meet its. I don't know. I just think the thing is. I'll say this real quick and we'll go back to Gotham. But I think the thing is, Cartoon Network doesn't really respect or appreciate its audience or give its audience enough credit because they're trying to sell like well-made. I mean it's not so much the people who make the shows. I think it's just the business side. They got all these good shows that like I think anybody from the age of like 12 to like their early 20s can enjoy because they're appropriate enough for a kid.
I would even say even like a higher range. I feel like you could go 10 to like 30, 40 because some of those shows, really, Beware the Batman. That shows that is almost made for an adult. It's safe enough for a kid to watch.
That's how I feel about most of the DC. I mean,
really, I'll really say that about every DC thing except for maybe Teen Titans.
Yeah, that's kind of.
I'm not too sure, or like shows like the Crypto the Dog show and whatnot.
Yeah,
there always is a couple of them that are made for younger audiences, but like in general, it's like. I'd even say, like, really, I would say it's all ages. You could literally, if you were 100 years old and you're obsessed with comics, you could still enjoy it.
I agree with that exactly. I was just going for 20, but I think that's true. If you could actually probably get someone who is like in their mid 30s or so to sit down and watch it, they'd probably actually enjoy it, saying, "Oh, that wasn't so bad actually." But anyway, I don't think they respect their audience enough, and I think that they just kind of just like, "Oh, well, we wanted this is getting a lot of teenagers and people in their 20s. We want to try and sell shit to kids." So it's like, all right, just and like Kevin Smith said before, like just change the product. You change, aim for a different audience. Aim for
Sell
like
T-shirts and posters and
T-shirts or iPhone cases or something like that. You know, you don't gotta have it all be just like
just sell bongs and Bud Light cans with fucking Batman on the cover to sell it to your audience.
a Coors can with Aqualad. Yeah.
Get
No,
the
but
Young
like
Justice fucking Coors edition.
Coors Light. It's pretty, won't get you too hammered, but still makes you feel kind of like a grown up. Drink it when your dad's not looking.
Plus, you get 36 of them for $18.
Takes like 8 of them to get a faint buzz, so don't worry, kids.
It's okay. It's got enough carbs in it to fill you up, so you don't gotta eat.
Yeah,
well, I
no.
think that too. It's like this really goes for almost any show out there. No fucking show catches on the first season. You know what I mean? Like they always like you have to put 2 to 3 seasons in before everybody knows about it. You know what I mean? Of course, the hardcore Batman fans are gonna watch it, from the beginning. Or even like us who pick it, we watch it when it comes out on DVD. So like there you go. If the show's already ended and we just picked up the second part of it, well, what the fuck? You clearly like got your audience. You close a show before your audience even got to it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and then like I also I just look at so many shows. Like I never discovered them till they were literally into season 3 or 4. Like I look at 2.5 Men. Like I came into that late. Even Seinfeld, I think I came into that like on season 3 or 4. The only show I can really think I remember catching pretty early was like That 70s Show, but still, it's like unless you were there, it's lots of times you need somebody to see it and your buddy to tell you. And it's almost kind of like the first movie. Sometimes a first movie comes out and not everybody sees it, and then by the time the second one rolls along, everybody's either saw it on video, their buddy told them about it, they caught up somehow, some way, and now everybody's going to Dark Knight syndrome almost.
Yeah.
So, fuck, you gotta do that with a TV show. You can't just cancel it after 1 or 2 seasons.
Yeah, I know.
They did the same thing with the Green Lantern one, too. It's like, the Green Lantern one ran for 2 seasons, and then it was like, we're done. Doesn't matter how good it was. The show could be full on amazing, but...
And that's what happened with Young Justice. It kind of the same thing happened. It ended very early, and there was like it was this very complex story. There was actually kind of drama, and you've seen a few episodes of it. I mean, I saw all the first season.
I watched the first couple discs of it, so.
And that even though that's a good example of like, even though it does focus on kind of like a little bit of like young teenage angst, which can be annoying, it doesn't do it too much. It actually focuses enough on the action and other characters. And what's cool is it takes it like, okay, well today, the Young Justice is focusing on Dr. Fate. Today they're focusing on Aquaman's villains. This day they're focusing on, it's kind of a little bit of just everything, and that's what's cool about it.
What it really reminds me of Justice League Unlimited, but with the younger characters. Simple enough. That's what it is, And it's one of those kind of shows. Red Tornado got his own
episode,
Yeah, no, the Red Tornado is kind of like their like caretaker.
He's Robo Nanny.
Really, and it's just because like Batman's like, well, I can program him to take care of them. See, Superman, do you want to take care of kids? No. Wonder Woman, do you want to take care of kids? No. Fucking Aquaman. Do you want to take care of kids? Fuck that. It's just like, yeah, we're fucking Red Tornado. All I gotta do is program him to take care of kids, and he'll do it.
I thought it was funny, kind of like how I like that, even though
he doesn't have any self-respect. He's a robot. What about that time that you and him had that bonding moment? He cried over the fact that he couldn't have kids. Yeah, that was fucking weird.
Well, I figure, this way we give all of our...
I only told you that story because I just thought it was really fucking funny. It wasn't supposed to be sad. I mean, it was probably sad for him, but, he's a robot. How does he have feelings? Just because he cries oil.
I thought he was just spazzing out. I didn't know he actually had feelings. Shit.
I started punching him. Hopefully he'd get back together, kind of like an old TV set.
No, I want to say, like, what if it was like, I think they all brought in all these like teenagers, kind of like, yeah, we all got our teenagers, like, oh shit, putting these kids in fucking life-threatening situations. We're almost like their parents now. They don't even talk to their parents. They want to talk to us. I got too much shit going on in my life. They're already just like these super fucking annoying kids with superpowers. What the fuck are we gonna? Oh, just send him to Rhode Island. Yeah. The robot, his kid died. We don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like Batman was saying, the robot wants kids. We'll give him to him. Okay.
Yeah, the robot wants kids. Give him fucking kids. Give him fucking 8 kids.
Yeah. The robot's like, this is not what I'm just talking about. This is too much shit. Shut the fuck up. We'll program you.
You said you want kids. You're getting them. Fuck you, robot.
Program you. We'll program you into being the sex bot again.
Red Tornado does not want to be sex bot.
Why did I not sign up with the Legion of Doom? I should have done that,
But that
fuck
was
these super powered pricks.
But that was like another show where like they just didn't give it enough time, And I think that's what you need is you need those few years to have the show just build up its audience. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's just that internet age where they just feel like, oh, they didn't like it right away, then fuck it. That's it. I guess I just didn't like it. So we gave it a shot. That's it.
I think they're kind of like, oh, kids this day and age with the YouTubes and the Vimeos and the Stitcher TV. I think they just have too much ADD and they're gonna quickly move on to the next thing. So they don't like it right off the bat. Just fuck it, get rid of it. I think they have that kind of mentality about it.
Yes.
It's like if that's the case, then you're don't advertise to those people. Advertise to other people and like say, okay, this isn't the children's slot. This is kind of like the middle ground slot where it's kind of the all ages slot, whatever you want. And you could put advertisements for like, okay, maybe a few toy advertisements or whatever, but advertise for phones. I don't know, just.
Well, hell, you can do action.
What do adults buy?
Just do adults like action.
What do adults buy? What do adults buy? Shit, phones. I don't know.
Really, the only thing like adults kind of buy is like video games.
Yeah, by this point, video games. I guess just I guess aim for like the 20-year-old crowd because kids are gonna watch it regardless.
T-shirts, I think, sometimes the way you can always go too.
I'm asking. I'm 27. Spencer, what do adults buy?
It's like. Oh, definitely.
Timeshares? Mortgage?
I would buy the fucking Justice League timeshare if there was a timeshare like that where you got to go stay at fucking like, for 1 month out of the year, I got to go stay at the fucking Titans
Red
Tower.
Tornado's house.
House. You got to pick between Titans Tower, Red Tornado's house, fucking the Hall of Justice.
They already have. They have, and it was a theme park in Japan. I don't really know how much of it there was, but there was like a little, like some theme park that had a little Evangelion section. If in Japan they could have an Evangelion section in some theme park, we're at the point I think we could have like a DC theme park or DC segment of a theme park somewhere. I mean, we already got like, Disney's going to put in like a Marvel section in their parks at some point.
We sort of used to have, because like,
in Star Wars,
Universal Studios used to have the Marvel Cafe. Now, I know it's not like a full-on theme park, but still, that was pretty mind-blowing. You got a restaurant that was all Marvel themed. There was the arcade that had every machine in Marvel ever created. There was a fucking store there. And then there was kind of like some, I guess you could say memorabilia kind of set, or like a museum.
I guess for the 90s, for that point, that's pretty astonishing. But
and
at this point,
Six Flags tried it with DC, I guess you could say, because they had the Batman roller coaster, but it wasn't themed.
It was just the Batman coaster, and
it was like it was painted like blue and gray.
Yeah, I'm talking about. I mean, I had this conversation with Wes, and he's like, "Yeah, well, here's the thing: is Wes is actually studying marketing, and he uses Disney as the best example, which that's true when you think about it." He was saying that Disney is the best one and have the money to know how to emulate and kind of like here's a set from a movie that you could walk around at our theme park, basically. And I was saying, they should do kind of like the Arkham Diner or some shit like that, where you're sitting in like some diner, it has this rustic, kind of like macabre look. And then all of a sudden there's a stage, like where, I don't know, like light, you could still eat. It's all on the stage, but like Two-Face comes out like, I'm going to blow this fucker up. And then
so it's like dinner theater?
Yeah, and then then a light shines from the other side of the diner, like not today. He pretends to throw a fucking batarang at him, falls, and you see people from sides. They have this choreographed fight, then leaves. Now, okay, lights go back on. You go back to eating. Then it kind of happens randomly. Then he'll come through the other side. Granted, I'm saying what's going to cost.
Granted, you probably don't want to. You just don't want to make it scary because you don't want somebody eating and fucking choking. Going. Like,
Yeah. I'm not. Yeah, I know.
I
It's all
think
from a
I think if it's
distance.
just dinner theater, I think that's the way to go. Fucking
I think
Batman
that's the
dinner
way to go.
theater.
Or it kind of goes off, and then all of a sudden it happens later. Like he comes in from another side, music kicks in. You go Hans Zimmer.
Dun, dun.
That
Nice.
one you can go. You can go that. You can go the animated series. You can go Hans Zimmer, whatever you want. And then I know I'm just saying like a fanboy, just some kind of fanboy fantasy that's probably never gonna happen, but still.
Because
Disney has that kind of shit.
the way I always like, I like theme parks more than I like roller coasters, and I like roller coasters, but to me the theme is more important than like the roller coaster. That's why I like Universal Studios over Six Flags and even like Knott's Berry Farms, because I like going there and going, oh fuck, dude, look at this whole Jurassic Park section, or look at this fucking backdraft section.
I was just thinking something. I mean, granted, if you had like a little DC section, you could have like, okay, here's Metropolis. You have a bunch of, just
Metropolis Land.
You have like,
Central City.
Yeah. Not you wouldn't have Coast City, but you'd have like Oa maybe.
You could have Coast City because you could theme it with all like jets and shit. And then
I think it'd be
like,
cool. Why have that when you could have Oa?
Oh yeah, Oa would be the way to go.
So, because you already have enough cities there, I might as well just put Oa. And then, but no, what ends up happening is you end up. I was just thinking, you have the Gotham section. I was thinking you go to Crime Alley, and I was thinking this would be cool for
just get
fans,
bugged and like
but just
there.
the image. No.
The bug and rape simulator.
For the sheer image of just this right here. There's like, you go down there, there's sad music playing. You see the chalk outline of like Martha and Thomas Wayne with maybe some pearls there or single rows. And it's all like, not a place you really want to bring a kid, but be cool for fans. And you're going to get so many pictures of like my time just smiling, like thumbs up next to like this chalk outline in Crime Alley. With maybe like a little shrine and a reef to like Thomas and Martha Wayne with a picture of Bruce crying as a child, just like, hey, right next to it.
You just get a picture of like some guy going behind the Bruce Wayne fucking statue, like acting like he's fucking it in the butt and taking a picture.
Or like you get people just kind of like pretending they're dead, laying in the chalk outline, like couples doing that,
See, I think that'd just be sweet just to have a whole land like that was just all DC oriented. That's all it is,
Uh-huh.
And I think the O would be the way to go too. You go up there and everything's all like futuristic and sci-fi, and you get to go see, you see the Guardians and shit talking up above, and you could like throw shit at them and whatnot.
Like fuck you.
It's kind of like, it's almost like a carnival game where like like knock the fucking they give you a couple baseballs.
Knock that old fuck out.
And then after a while you go, are those dolls up there? Or are those just midgets running back and forth? That are painted blue, and I'm throwing baseballs at them. And if you knock them into the pool, they give you a prize.
Or they're just like some guy just very unenthusiastic, dressed up like Kilowog, like, hey guys, welcome to Oa Land. So they're the Guardians, you have to fight against them. So here's your Green Lantern guns. Like, they don't have guns. Fuck you, take the gun.
Didn't put any research.
It's a paintball gun. You have to shoot at these, be like little. You don't know what they are, if they're people or if they're just puppets running around.
The thing you would do is you could have a room where you go inside and you put a ring on, and it's kind of like laser tag in a sense.
Yeah.
And then I was gonna say, like, I'm like, well, this actually doesn't sound nearly as exciting as I thought it was, but.
Well, I guess the little like thing they could shoot. Granted, it's gonna be some cheap little plastic thing, but it could be like the Green Lantern emblem you throw over your chest that kind of hangs there.
You could really just do like a Green Lantern themed fucking laser tag.
Green,
and you
play
against
Green Lantern.
You either have teams. You're either on the green team. You could be the yellow lanterns, red lanterns, blue lanterns, pink lanterns, purple lanterns.
Let's keep it
orange
simple.
lantern. There's only one orange lantern.
Let's start off with green and yellow, and we'll go from there.
I think our yellow. Well, you probably have to do something like red.
Well, isn't yellow?
You ever see the fucking yellow laser that often?
Fuck it, you gotta start somewhere. We're already putting so much money into the Batman part of the park, so Green Lantern takes backseat to that.
Yeah, that's true. That goes back to the Green Lantern TV show. That there was that period when the movie came out, like they were really trying to push Green Lantern. I think that they thought they're like, dude, Green Lantern's gonna catch on. It's not gonna be a fan only thing. You know what? We got not only we have a live action Green Lantern movie, we got 2 fucking animated ones coming out, and then we got a TV show. And then that just all kind of fell, and then you don't see Green Lantern anymore, except for like, oh, he's part of the Justice League again.
Kind of the way it works sometimes.
Can I have my own show again? Well,
we'll see what happens in 10 years.
Yeah, hopefully they'll come back and bring him back. Then maybe he can have his fucking Green Lantern.
Or there's I just thought of this. You got at some point, you know, if you're gonna have DC land, you're gonna have the Fortress of Solitude. You have Superman's space zoo.
Uh-huh.
What if you just go down there? There's just all like, granted, they'd have to be
fucking
creatures. You'd probably be screens with like like some weird high tech screen where it looks like you're looking in some kind of like weird animal. Unless they have people like in animal suits just acting like animals all day. They're like, oh look, there's a walrus man over there. Kevin Smith donated that.
Yeah.
I was really sewed into this suit. Let me out.
Oh, he's funny.
Just let's keep walking.
Movie. Here, throw
something at it. Let's go. Oh look, the Black Mercy thing from Alan Moore's book. You know.
No, there's a lot you can do with that if you have a lot of money. I guess. I guess that's what it all boils down to. We should make the fucking like ghetto DC land.
The ghetto DC land. We could do Gotham. You know what? You could do Gotham very easily, just to go to some ghetto and like you know.
Except for then you probably have to like replace that like chalk outline and grave every single day because somebody come by and steal it.
This is a real chalk outline, actually. You know, so just don't wash it. It already has the effect. You know what I mean?
Oh.
But we should actually.
Speaking of Gotham,
we were going to talk about Gotham, though. We were going to talk about that.
Well, Gotham episode 2 is not nearly as cool as I would say fucking DC Land, but I feel like it was better. That's what it was. It was better, and it's weird because like everybody online just like it's the best show in the fucking world. Oh, it's so amazing. And like I'm just like, are you?
They say it like Chinese stereotypes as well too.
I wasn't even thinking like that.
It just sound that way. Oh.
They just sometimes you see people. It's like, have you like? I always just kind of go like, have you ever watched the fucking like animated stuff? And well, no, most likely they probably have. They're probably like, no, animation's stupid. And it's like, oh, okay. No wonder you think this show is amazing. Because like lots of times, like it's like that's how I always kind of justify it. Like, if somebody like really likes comic stuff, I always ask them, do you ever watch any of the animated stuff? And if they don't say they watch the animated stuff, or at least read the comics, then I kind of go, oh, okay, so you like it a little bit then, not a whole lot. Yeah. You know, because I don't know that Gotham episode 2, I will say I think it was better. You know, but it's still one of those ones. It's weird watching it. I think it's weird watching a show where you got these supervillains kind of coming up, but there's no fucking superhero. You know, I mean, it's like watching if you're gonna watch like a Superman show and there was actually no Superman in it like whatsoever. There was no Clark Kent. He was like a child the whole time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're just kind of like, okay, well, there's fucking Brainiac and Lex Luthor and all this stuff, but a couple of cops are gonna fight him. Okay.
Well, at least they kind of. I mean, well. Commissioner Gordon is a big character, and at least. Well, it's like I understand where they're coming from, but on top of that, I'll say this. I mean, we'll find out as time goes on, but at least I mean, because we're going in there. I'm just trying to look at it from the perspective of the show. But even that being said, even looking at it from the perspective of the show, I thought Penguin. I thought he was going to come back eventually, but I just thought he would just be like, just okay. He just pops in once in a while. He had his own story going on. And his own story was probably, even though there was only a few parts of it, I thought that was really interesting. I really liked where they were going. I mean, the last episode where it ended, the first episode where it ended, where he slashes the guy's throat and steals a sandwich, that was okay. We could have got to the point a little better than that. But this whole thing of him just kind of like trying to plot from a distance and kind of living out in the country, I think that's kind of cool, really. And he has the ransom, and we had the douchebag kid. He's just like, your mom doesn't want to pay $10,000 for you, huh? You know, so like that kind of shit right there, I think that's actually kind of interesting. And so if it's focusing on that kind of stuff, where Riddler came again in for a second, hey guys, here I am. All right, get the fuck out of here,
Riddler.
Fucking nerd. Aww. That's literally with minus get the fuck out of here. That's basically what happened. Like, hey guys, I got some information for you. Okay, you can leave. Oh, fucking nerd, Beyond that, and like Selena Kyle, she's actually having a part in the story, and she feels like Selena Kyle. So, I mean, as much as a 15-year-old kid could play Selena Kyle. So, and they mentioned Dollmaker, which Dollmaker is a villain.
Oh yeah, and then the Professor Pig's gonna be in the 3rd episode. Did you see that?
No, they're bringing in Professor Pig.
Probably since you watched it online, they might not have had it, but like pretty much when they had the next time on Gotham. Like, yeah,
does he wear a pig mask?
They just showed a very quick clip of it, and there was a guy in a pig mask. Which it kind of makes sense because mostly if you always see Dollmaker, Professor Pig somewhere around the corner.
Yeah.
They seem to kind of go hand in hand. So
Well, cool.
I think that's cool. It's just one of those ones like it's just weird having supervillains but no fucking superhero. I mean, don't get me wrong, I like Jim Gordon a lot, but if Jim Gordon was the only character in Batman the whole time, I don't think I'd ever like buy the book just for that. You know what I mean? If there was no Batman, it's just kind of weird watching something. It's like,
but at least Batman's story, at least Bruce Wayne's story is progressing.
Here's what I feel. Fuck, I don't care. He doesn't have to wear a bat suit exactly. Make fucking Bruce Wayne go. It sounds weird because it sounds like it'd be some '90s movie. You have a kid put on a costume and go out and fight crime. But fuck, if Selina's running around doing stuff, why can't Bruce Wayne do the same thing too?
He may. He just might. We don't know for a fact, but he just might.
Yeah, so if that happens...
He's already burning his own hand. I thought that was... I mean, I kind of like they're already getting intense with Bruce. He's not just sitting there moping around. They at least know that they are treating Bruce... They are presenting it in a way that... Because usually movies just kind of... Okay, he's Bruce Wayne as a boy. Once his parents die, Bruce Wayne basically died. Now he's immediately Batman. They don't get that so much in the movies. They just kind of cut ahead. Now that we're kind of stuck with a boy, Bruce Wayne... I do like that he's actually, even though he is still a kid and he's kind of a little snotty in some parts, he is very much like, well, everything I'm doing is moving forward in the process of becoming a crime fighter. You see him testing his limits by burning his hand.
Testing his fear by standing on top of the building or on the mansion.
Yeah, and then the second he hears there's some kids in trouble, he says, I'm sending some money to him. Where do I send it to? You know, he's already like doing whatever he can, doing things an adult Bruce Wayne would do. So at least they understand that. And like I said, like we both said, this is early on, but this is better. It could be a little better. Yeah. But my biggest complaint is just Barbara Gordon, and the chick that got to play Barbara Gordon, I didn't realize this before. Like
that's really the worst part of the whole show.
Granted, she's only in like one scene for this episode, so that's good. But
you just
she would have been good. She would have been good for like Sarah Essen. That was the detective I'm thinking of, and she is actually I didn't realize this, but Sarah Essen is actually the police chief. She's their boss, and I was like, oh well, Sarah Essen's supposed to be some new chick who comes into town, and she's like, that's one of those things like. It's not like the fact they changed her race or anything. It's more the fact that, like, granted, Sarah Essen's only in a few stories, but she has a pretty defined role in those few stories. So I don't know if a love triangle is going to happen between Barbara and Sarah Essen at some point. Hopefully, I'm not trying to be a dick. Hopefully, Barbara dies, and then another Barbara comes in. I mean, they did that in Smallville. They had Jimmy Olsen in there. Jimmy Olsen died, and we find out, oh, that was actually Jimmy's older brother. So hopefully they do something like that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those ones. I just hope it's just not a cop show. And that's why I feel like it's just gonna be a cop show the whole time. And I know that
this was a little less of a cop show this episode, which is cool.
Yeah, and I guess that's one. It sounds so weird. It's like there's a very fine line between, I guess, like it's like the cop stuff I like. You know, I think it's like I like Lethal Weapon. I like Die Hard. I like when Arnold Schwarzenegger's a cop. You know, and I guess I like that action kind of cop stuff. It's the TV kind of like crime scene investigation stuff that I think there's just so much of it out there that it just never feels very like, and I know that's like a genre that, you know, the general public seems to really like. So I think that's why Gotham's kind of sold very well to the everyday man, because they like, you know, they love their CSI, they love their NCIS, they love their Law and Order. It's not saying anything against them. It's just, that's never really been my genre of TV.
No, I know what you're saying. I agree with you there. And plus the way those shows always work is, oh, it's this guy over here. Oh, fuck, no, wait, it's this other guy over here at the last minute. That's how all those shows always tend to work. And this one right here, I'll say that's how the first episode felt. Second episode was a lot less of that because everybody had their own story going on. You had Jim Gordon's story, you had Selina Kyle's story, you have Bruce Wayne's story, you have Penguin's story, and then you have Fish Mooney's story.
And that character, it feels like they're trying to really push that character, which seems, I don't know, that character I feel is kind of like an unnecessary character. And I know for a fact it'll be there the whole series, at least this whole season.
I know, I mean, I'm guessing.
Because she's she's sort of the bankable star.
Yeah, well, who is she? Someone who's kind of famous? She looks familiar.
Isn't that Will Smith's wife, that character?
No, I don't think that's Jada Pinkett Smith. I don't think that's
She's
her.
the Fish Mooney one? Yeah, no, she's Fish Mooney, yeah.
Oh, that's Jada Pinkett Smith right there.
Yeah, so that's the character. That's why she has
Oh,
so
she
much.
looks pretty good. I didn't know that was her. She looks pretty good.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's why she has so much. Like I think because that's just their bankable star. But as a character, it's just like one of those ones. Like one, I looked up in the Batman Encyclopedia. She doesn't exist
No, I didn't think
unless she was created because that thing goes to 2008. Unless she was created in the last 6 years.
Well, if they're already using like Mr. Professor Pig, and I mean, Dollmaker's been around, but he's never been a big character. They've been trying to push him more in the 52. And I know they made a girl Dollmaker that's all sexy and shit. But,
That's weird. So
well, isn't like the new Dollmaker basically? I don't know who.
Dollmaker too.
Yeah, like it's a girl dressed up like a Playboy bunny, basically.
I remember that. I remember it just dressed up in like a weird like doll like kind of looking thing.
Maybe, I don't know. When I looked up Dollmaker, there was a chick that popped up as a Playboy bunny, and then there was what I imagine what the Dollmaker would look like. But yeah, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Now, the only thing I hope they don't do, and the only reason I say this is just because like I know DC's done this before, because it's kind of like the League of Assassins, As much as I like the League of Assassins, it's just when they start appearing in everything, it's just kind of it was in Batman Begins, and then next thing you know, it was in Arrow, and it was in Beware the Batman, and it was in Batman and Son, and it was in weren't they in like one of the other like Batman DCU movies that came out not too long ago too?
Well, they weren't a huge part, but I guess they made a nod to him in Under the Red Hood because Ra's al Ghul brought him back.
Oh yeah, I guess you could say there's sort of a nod there. That's not nearly as much. They're in Beware the Batman. So I hope that like, don't get me wrong.
They are in Young Justice. They are in that too.
But are they only on like one episode?
Yeah, but Ra's al Ghul is also part of like that group, that the Light or whatever, where it's all those supervillains working together.
Oh, okay. Because don't get me wrong, it's just that thing. It's just like once you start noticing, it's like they're using it in every single thing. If it's one episode, that's not really too bad. It's more kind of like because season 2 of Arrow, that was all Ra's al Ghul. Season 1 of Beware the Batman, it's pretty much the main storyline is the League of Assassins. Batman.
And the third one too, I saw a trailer for that too.
For which they're
sorry, I cut you off there. I saw a trailer and
they haven't like totally finished it, so it's still going on. And it's like I like Professor Pig, and I think that's cool. He's gonna be in this live action one, but I hope it's not gonna just rehash the characters they all sort of use in Beware the Batman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I guess as the DC fan, you're like, okay, I saw this. Now go with some other characters.
I really hope they do like the Court of Owls.
Yeah, that's something because we just never seen it in like animated or live action.
I mean, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if we got like Scott Snyder, Greg Capullo's like Court of Owl run for like one of the DCU movies. That'd be cool. But it wouldn't surprise me the least bit if they actually did use Court of Owls for this, because that is Gotham centric and it's not League of Assassins. And I think that's an easier segue into because it's strictly set in Gotham. Mm-hmm. They look over Gotham. They don't give a fuck about anything else. So that makes it a little bit easier than doing like this big global League of Assassins thing, which maybe you could save for the last season if you do want to use them eventually. I think they should just leave this League of Assassins out of it. I think it's too much for a young Bruce Wayne. But Court of Owls, that you could work that into it. And
I think that would actually work with the Gotham show. For what they're going with, at least at this point, I think Court of Owls would fit in really nicely with that show.
Well, plus, at the same time, I'll say this episode did feel like, I'll be honest. I'm just gonna say this. Please don't be judgmental. I liked the new episode. It wasn't like okay. I liked it. It wasn't like amazed. I wasn't amazed by it, but I did like the new episode, and that's because it didn't feel like it was going by a standard cop show. There are still certain things I can see the strings. I can kind of see what they're trying to do, but on top of that, it wasn't just kind of like another CSI. Each character, like Gordon and Hart and Bullock, are two characters in this show about Gotham than rather just being them, Yeah. Which the first episode felt like.
Yeah. No, as I said, I definitely think this one was definitely much better than the first one. Once again, I didn't think it was anything amazing.
Not amazing, I just
and I guess that's one of those ones. There is that sort. There's always gonna be like a slight judgmental thing because once you've already seen other shows that are really amazing. If Gotham existed without, Beware the Batman and Arrow being out, I guess around the same time, I might look at it and go, hey, that was actually better than I thought it was going to be and whatnot. But I think just knowing that Arrow's there, and then I was sort of thinking about this too, is like, when I watched Arrow, I watched it on DVD, so you could like power through those like, discs pretty quickly. That in itself you know, because if you would have watch Arrow like each week and you would have saw each episode at that slow pace, you might have went, oh, that first episode of Arrow was, you know, it's a start, nothing amazing.
Well,
That's the second
I
one,
remember
a little bit better.
when you first started watching Arrow. I mean, I haven't seen an episode of it, but when you first started watching it, you told me like it's okay. This and that's kind of annoying. They just don't call him Green Arrow. They just call him Arrow for some stupid reason. I don't know
Killing
why.
people left and right.
Yeah, so when you first started watching that show, you had a lot of complaints, but now you talk about how good it is. So
I think that Gotham, and I think that's one of those ones, and I think with the Arrow thing, because it was almost like that could change my mind so fast because I was watching it on DVD, you know what I mean? So you can watch that first disc and you can just kind of go, it's okay. I don't know why people are giving so much rage. And then next thing you know, once you get the disc 2, 3, and 4 and finish it off, then you can kind of go, oh, okay, so it definitely does start picking up. Where Gotham, it's like, I feel like those first 6 episodes, we're going to have to kind of like man through them and kind of like, as I said, force myself to watch it. Because really, if we probably weren't doing a podcast, I probably would not have got around that second episode anytime soon. Sadly enough.
Same thing. Yeah.
You know, it's like in episode 3, I feel like, okay, I'm a little bit more interested now. I'm a little bit more interested. My only fear is just, like, at least with Arrow, he's already in, like, his costume in the first couple episodes. You know, he's already kind of fighting crime. We're here, and it's like, I know what they're doing. They're going for the Gotham Central type thing where it's just all about Jim Gore and stuff. But here's the thing about Gotham Central. Batman's still in it. He's just not the main character. It's now the other way around where, you know, a Batman story is like, you know, mostly all Batman. Then we get a little story of Jim Gordon, back to Batman. Where Gotham Central's mostly all Jim Gordon. Then we get a little Batman, then back to Jim Gordon, and, you know, and the rest of the gang. Which is, Jim Gordon and the gang. But and I know that's what they're going with, so it's kind of like, it's one of those ones. We never want to do what we'll call the Assassin's Creed complaint, which is we had a buddy once who complained about Assassin's Creed because the game wasn't, because what he wanted was a game
he loved, like,
where you get to fucking have a giant army and go out and invade cities. Which,
like Jerusalem, and like because he loved like the story of
he wanted to be
Richard
like
Lionheart.
the beginning of Troy.
Well, like he was really into the Crusades and the story, and he really liked the story of Richard Lionheart, which I thought Richard Lionheart was kind of a dick, but whatever. And like, you don't believe in God? Fuck you, slap. You know, but no. He really
wanted. The
wanted
only part to like the Robin Hood story where it's just like, is that guy really better than the other guy? I mean, like, are we really just choosing kings based on like who's like the better of each evil? You know what I mean? The greater of two evils.
Exactly. And he really liked it. Wait, actually,
realistically, fucking, let's just break this down. Robin Hood should have fucking said, fuck this, you know, monarchy. You know what? Fucking, we're going to a socialistic society here where we all get a little bit of money and we all work together.
Then it just cuts the credits like Anarchy by The Clash starts to play. No, but what was I gonna say? No, well, actually, was that actually supposed to be? Now I'm thinking back on it. Wasn't that supposed to be Lionheart in, like, was he the king in Robin Hood?
Yeah, I know it's King Richard, unless there's, you know, multiple King Richards.
Actually,
I take that back. There is, I think, because I want to say Richard the Lionheart's the third. So I'm not too sure which Richard it is. It could be one or two. So maybe his dad was a good guy, or his grandfather was, and then Richard the third kind of like brings it down.
Fucked it up for everybody.
Fucked up. He just said, you know what? I fucking hate people out there that don't believe the same way I do. Let's go on a crusade. Well, the only reason I say because Robin Hood was on the Crusades. That's the only reason I was thinking it was him.
Okay, I'm just thinking maybe
Robin
was,
Hood.
yeah.
He leaves. He's out there fucking just, you know, he's just working it. You know, he's just working a job. He's like fucking, you know, he's like a Bruce Springsteen song.
I just see it. I almost see kind of like I almost see even the Crusades. I almost see them just being like a bunch of like douchebag bros, like a bunch of Crusaders, just kind of like
prepping up their horses.
Yeah, just like broing out, like, let's go kill some fucks, man. Yeah, you know, just
they stop by ye old Applebee's.
Yeah. Maybe right before, like, if they had iPods, or maybe they have like a little drummer boy or something like that, or a little like quartet with them, start playing, play my jam. They start playing like Ace of Spades by Motorhead, and they start running in there to like attack Jerusalem. No, but like, what was I gonna say? Getting off topic, we were talking about Gotham, but no, he was complaining that because he liked the idea. He's like, I like the play mechanics, but what it should be is you should have guys you can command, and you could run in here
Lead
and
a huge army.
charge, lead a huge army, do this, do that, and like, well, I don't know if the game has that amount of capacity memory wise to do all that with this already huge existing world. B, that's not really what's wrong with the game. That's
really what he wants is he wanted a completely different game, and that's sometimes when I complain about Gotham, I guess that's kind of how I feel. It's like I almost kind of just I want something different, but I guess it's also this goes. I feel like it's not nearly as different as that because Assassin's Creed's kind of its own unique thing. It was created, and like that's just what it is. Where Gotham, I guess, one's like we have all this Batman stuff for years, and then
what I feel like they're trying to do is rather than focus on Batman, because there's already so many things that focus on Batman, I think they're just trying to focus more on the villains. But it's easier to do that when you got a likable character like James Gordon.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it's like I love James Gordon, and I like the James and Harvey Bullock parts. Or Jim, I guess, because nobody calls him James because James is his son. But we're on a different name basis.
Young James, yeah, young James, who eventually becomes a serial killer.
Yeah, and yeah. It's on that. That's a great book too, The Black Mirror by fucking Scott Snyder.
I still need to get that one.
It has really.
I got a huge fucking stack of comics I got to get down, and that's on my list. Not on the stack, but on the list. I got to work down the stack.
But what was I saying though? It's like I like that. I just I think it's one of those ones. If there was just some superhero, and I don't even because I'm trying to think. I'm like, there's not even really like. Because the thing about Batman and Gotham, there's not like a Superman or a superhero that comes before him. Unless they want to kind of like work it in there, like change, the storyline where like, oh no, this guy comes before it. Which fuck, you know what you could do, even though he's not part of Gotham, but hell, it's DC, you can just move him in there.
Gray Ghost.
Hell, there's that, but what's his name? The guy who's like the boxer. He's
Wildcat.
Yeah, Wildcat. That would be the character to fucking throw in there because he's always older than everybody else.
Well, I know it's probably going to happen.
And he's kind of a realistic character too. You know what I mean?
It's going to happen if they throw in Wildcat. They're going to just make some little pun about being. They called him the Wildcat in the boxing ring. Chances are that's going to happen, or who knows? Maybe they'll have him just be kind of like in a hoodie kind of jumpsuit type deal, and then maybe just wears like it's not going to be the full on like
he's not going to wear the cat outfit because
but I can see
regular people couldn't handle that. That would scare them.
But maybe he'll have like kind of like maybe just kind of like a hoodie or something of the same color, and then just maybe like a mask over it. Just kind of
look like Green Arrow. Fuck it,
Yeah.
Speaking of Green Arrow, did you see that like the Queen building in the background of Gotham?
No, I didn't see that.
It was there for like a split second. Like I could see as it panned through one of the city shots, and then all of a sudden there was a big queue right there.
Well, at least the show has a good production value. I'll say that. It's at least it actually looks like it doesn't look because like Smallville, you could definitely see it was like a low budget show. This one, and you got what you got, but this one it actually looks like you could tell they have a little bit of money, and it's a good looking show regardless of our complaints of.
Yeah, so. Regardless wise, I just think all they really just need to do, they just need to throw a superhero in there. I think that's my only thing. I'm not complaining about the Jim and Harvey thing. It's just since it's a show of supervillains, you just can't have supervillains without superheroes. It's just weird.
I think it's almost kind of
unless you're gonna make Jim Gordon like Super Jim or something like that, and fucking like have him like dress up at nighttime and go off and like he's like I can't do what the law won't let me do this, but as Super Jim I can.
It's Slim Jim.
It's Slim Jim. He just
because Harvey Bullock's fat.
Weird 90s Slim Jim costume.
He's the Slim Jim guy with the. Well, we realized the show looks so good, and to keep up its production value, we had to make some tie-in deals. So,
we got
Gotham will now feature like Jim Gordon's secret identity, the Slim Jim Man,
who fights crime at nighttime due to recent complaints.
No, but I actually the fact that there's no superheroes in it, this is gonna sound weird. That doesn't really bother me because I guess it's before this age of the superhero. Now, if they come in and say like, "Oh, Wildcat" or something, okay, cool, I'll take it. If they end up throwing superheroes in there, I'll take it. But I guess in the science of the show, I guess they're the science of the show. But I guess they're looking at make it like Christopher Nolan. B, make it kind of. I guess you could also say this happens before all the superheroes are there. So you just they're not even really super villains. They're more of just, I guess, really Batman is one of those things where you can paint it in a way that they're not
kind of like serial killer like people more
with weird themes. That is one of the few you can go full superhero with Batman. You can totally do that. But also, I mean, I know before we complained like sometimes they said it too much in reality, but there are stories that are totally like Dark Knight, and I mean, I love Begins and Dark Knight a lot, but there are
Well, see, that's what I
stories that
like.
are.
Begins is one of those ones. What I like about Begins though is it doesn't feel. It still has that light bit of fantasy and sci-fi in it.
Mhm.
That's what I
Dark
like.
Knight.
Now, Dark Knight doesn't have that, but I think that for that one story, I think it works fine. It's by Dark Knight Rises that you realize that no, you should have that sci-fi fantasy in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the one thing. It's just I guess it's one of those ones. There's so many shows out there that are set in reality. Batman is not a show. Batman's not a character that is set in reality. So why make him like in this? Why don't you just make him what he is and not kind of like try to make him set in reality? I just think that's like it's just not necessary. That's what makes Batman different. Why do we like Batman? Is because it is kind of like it has just that little element of sci-fi fantasy. Because realistically, it's one of those ones. Like Gotham's for example, because if there wasn't that bit of sci-fi or fantasy, it'd just be two cops running around solving mysteries. It'd be like Sherlock Holmes.
Well, I mean, I still think the show can go on some cool places and do some cool things. It's still pretty early on the show, and I think it's one of those things. It doesn't really. Who knows? It may lead into that. It may eventually lead into becoming a superhero show, or at least something with a little bit more villains, or at least something like that. But
that's what I hope. Is I hope that it'll just kind of pick steam, and then as I say, I'll use the Arrow thing. You know what I mean? Even though Arrow, and I think almost by episode 2, he's already fighting crime, and he doesn't have the full Arrow suit, but he's got a fucking green hoodie on, and you're like close enough. He's shooting a bow, and he's got a green hoodie on, and he's fighting crime. There we go. At least we're getting there.
Like I said earlier, though, I guess one of the things you could say though is it's more about the villains, and Jim Gordon's just the centerpiece that kind of holds it all together.
Yeah.
And I think that because like there's already so many things. There's so many. Let me put it this way. There's so many. I guess if it's a Batman related show or movie, Batman is the centerpiece. So I guess it's kind of interesting for the first time to actually see one where it's not focusing on Batman as much. It's focusing on everything around Batman.
Yeah. So I mean, like it is doing something different, I guess, in the sense there.
It's just hopefully it drops hopefully it's less CSI, more of things we recognize, and the fact that they're acknowledging Pig and Dollmaker, that's interesting to me.
No, I think that's cool, and I think I will say, as it goes on, I think he'll just get better. I just hope that my main thing is I think that it's going in a good place as long as they throw in. I think that's just what the show is missing. It's just missing a superhero, and I don't care. Fucking, I think Wildcat's the way to go. But there's other old characters you can fucking throw in there too that are plausible enough for that style of show. And Wildcat's perfect. I mean, just show him. Just be like, start like his little story off. Show old boxing footage. You know what I mean? Old boxing footage of like 1991. Since this show's in 2000.
The old days. It's all like film grain, like 1930s announcer. Back in 1991.
It's got fucking like Stone Temple Pilots play or like Pearl Jam playing over it. It's like, but just have him do that. It's just like, oh, he disappeared after his final match in 1991, and then like nobody kind of knows what happened to him. And then like in these like last 13 years or whatnot, he's just been out kind of like training and perfecting his skills and whatnot.
Yeah.
And then all he's got to do is fucking slap a mask on, put a hoodie on, and then go out and fucking punch crime in its face. Don't use a gun. We just need somebody who's throwing more punches. I guess that's what I'm getting down to too. Yeah.
Who knows? We could probably get that.
Really, when you really break down like what superheroes is, it's not people generally like using weapons. It's people throwing punches.
Well, she's not really. I mean, she's still pretty young, but I thought they're utilizing Selena Kyle pretty well.
No, yeah, she's been used pretty well, and they kind of. I mean, they do have those kind of weird things where they just kind of like.
Call me Cat.
Yeah, call me Cat, or it's just like it's really pokey. Just in case you didn't know this was supposed to be Catwoman.
Just in case you're a fucking idiot.
They do those things like that.
I feel like an asshole saying that, but that's almost kind of how I feel like the producer feels, like they won't fucking get it. Hi, Laura.
Where they literally take like a cane and poke it through the TV and like, wake up Grandpa.
Yeah.
But,
just to clarify for people listening right here, just so people don't think I'm talking to a fucking idiot. Hi, Laura. I wasn't actually doing that. Laura walked into the screen for a second, and I was just saying hi to her. That's all that was. Okay, anyway.
But, yeah, it'll pick up. You know what I mean? If it could just be, as long as it gets on par with Arrow, I'll be happy. That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, exactly.
But so till then, next week we get Arrow and Flash to look forward to. We have superheroes that are already established, and
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I don't know. Let us know if you want us to keep on talking about Gotham every week for while the show's out or not. But yeah, I'll try and catch Flash because I tried looking up Arrow online and I could not find any season one stuff that looked safe that was free.
can't you just go to CW.com?
I went to CW.com, but they didn't have old episodes. They just had new episodes.
Can you go to Hulu?
Hulu, yeah. Now it's like, oh well, we got this group of episodes. You can't go down the newest episodes. I don't know. Maybe I checked it at the wrong time. Maybe I'm just an idiot when it comes to that kind of shit. But
Can you watch it
I
on
went to
Netflix?
it. I don't have Netflix, and that costs money.
It costs $8.
I'll get it to eventually. I'll get to it eventually. Yeah. I'm just right now. I'm looking for shit that's free. It's just simple as that.
I'm just surprised because like you would have thought you would be able to watch them all on CW.
I went there and they just had like the most recent 8 episodes or whatever, and
Silly.
same thing with Hulu. So I'm like, oh well, for the premium deal, you just gotta try Hulu Plus or whatever the fuck. So I'm gonna look around for something that looks safe. I clicked on free Arrow episodes, and it's like all these ads of a chick sucking 2 dicks at the same time. I'm like, oh okay, this thing.
There was a site. I don't know if I can remember it.
Is that Black Canary? Huh.
There was one site where I download when I wanted to catch up on Arrow season 2. Since like nobody it's like practically impossible to like really they make it hard to catch up unless you have fucking streaming services. But I found one site where I could download all the episodes and they like it was all safe and clear, even though there's a bunch of Middle Eastern like text at the top corner, but that's okay.
Okay.
I'll try to figure out what that one was. I had it saved, but not on this one. So, but yeah, at least you could download and catch them up there. But yeah, I don't know. Gotham will get there. That's all I have to say. Till then, I got Beware the Batman to watch and be happy.
That's where I'm going.
I just hope one thing about Beware the Batman. I hopefully hope that if this is the last section of I guess there's only one season one. I hope it doesn't.
At least it has an
end
ending.
and just kind of like oh no, Alfred's about to get his head chopped off. Tune in next year.
Yeah, exactly. I hope it doesn't have one of those. Hopefully, it has a real concrete ending.
Because one of the best animated shows I can think of that only has one season, but like was the Wolverine and the X-Men, and just kind of. It ends
on its little cliffhanger.
Well, it ends on it's like it's going to be Age of Apocalypse for season 2, and then that's it. The show's still so amazing that whatever it's like I don't care. It's like that is one of the best fucking animated series I've ever seen. Or what they really should do? It's like okay, Marvel, you have money, and you clearly make these other movies. Why don't you just fucking finish it off with a little hour and 20-minute long straight to DVD movie. Because you can end anything in an hour and a half,
Want to know something I really wish is a little bit more obscure? Want to know something I really wish they had? It doesn't have to be a full-on season, but maybe just a little short movie or even like a webcomic or something.
Uh-huh.
I want to know the final season to Frisky Dingo.
Oh, yeah.
Because that has such the biggest cliffhanger, and that's a little obscure for those who don't know what Frisky Dingo is.
But everybody knows what Archer is nowadays.
The guys who did Archer... They actually did C-Lab 2021. After C-Lab 2021 ended, they went and did Frisky Dingo, which is basically this really weird, fucked up show about a superhero and a supervillain, and it kind of just, they're both bad people. The villain's actually, even though he's a bad guy, the hero is actually almost a little bit more worse than the villain in some ways. And you could actually definitely see some early Archer in this show, just in the animation style as well as the humor and the writing.
Well,
Archer's better.
Even the main character in it. Well, I guess
Xander Cruz.
He looks like he's almost related to Archer.
Yeah, and it the show has. I mean, it's a lot more kind of like sloppier than Archer. Archer, I think, is a perfect show. When I first saw Archer, I liked this show more. The more I watched it, I'm like, oh, Frisky Dingo's not as good, but it's still a really damn good show.
And then Archer just kind of turns out to be, I almost think, like a perfect show.
That's how I agree with you there. And then basically Frisky Dingo ends with the biggest cliffhanger. A bunch of characters die. And what ends up happening is we find out the main villain is actually an alien. And he's already a monster. We know he's something. We don't know what he is, but he's a monster. And a ship comes down, and his mother comes out. She says, "Junior, where are your pants?" Because he just walks around naked the whole time. She says, "Oh, funny story." Cuts the credits. And then we never got season 3 of that show. We never got season 3. We got 2 or 3 episodes of a side show, of a spin-off show that was focusing on other characters, but that ended too. So it's like, oh god damn it, you know, I
At
want to
some
know what
point,
happens because
you
it's
know,
such a
just
good show, and
when
it's
you think of
so
all
it's
this Archer money that they're getting, it's like, can't you? All I say, just make a straight to DVD movie. Fuck, make it internet only. I mean,
and even
take
so
a
often,
weekend and fucking animate this shit.
and because it looks Archer's animation looks way better than Frisky Dingo, and that's saying a lot because Frisky Dingo because Archer is already pretty like bare bones basic. Not bare bones
As the
basic. It looks
seasons
better.
go on, it kind
It
of
looks better.
progresses
It
to a little
actually
bit more full animation, but
it looks better. Actually, let me put it this way: Archer looks good. It looks good, but it is very basic. It's good animation.
well, it's
but
more
it
like
looks...
the drawings are good, but the animation's simple. That's kind of how Archer is.
Now, Frisky Dingo is so much more simpler. I look back on Frisky Dingo, and I'm looking at it like, dude, we could have animated this. I'm not saying that I'm as good as an artist as those guys, but animation-wise, we could have totally animated that ourselves. And I saw some of the things they do. If a character leans back, sometimes they would literally do the 2D like flat character lean. Something, you know. So it's like
Yeah,
they have.
it was a very simple made show. You know, if the characters walked, it cut to a medium shot, and they just hopped up and down and kept going left to right.
It's always like 90 like, every once in a while there might be like a full shot of them like actually walking, but it was very jaggedy, very like choppy, and generally 90% of the time the character is from waist up hopping along the screen, kind of
Yeah.
which is a trademark of ours. So, you know, I'm watching this like fuck, dude, we could have animated this.
That's inspiration. Hold on a second.
Yeah,
I'm
and this
gonna take a
shows.
pee really quickly. Okay.
Hey, I just had a conversation with myself, so be sure to edit that shit out.
Yeah. I just felt like I was gonna die there for a second. I was like, oh god, too much drinks. I think it's also from taking pre-workout again. I think it just makes you pee all the time.
Yeah. From your Optimus Prime cup.
I know, isn't that sweet? Look at that thing.
Mm. Where'd you get that from?
Walmart for like $1.50 or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like I got another sweet one there too, like these large forms.
Got it at the Walmart. Oh, goddamn. We got like this 1960s. Well, I mean, I always liked that art style, but it's basically like Super Friends art style. I hate the fucking show. I like
But the art style's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frisky Dingo though, that was just, well, I always think when I think of like when we started off doing animation, we kind of picked from like, well, what's the things that seem practical for us to do? And it was kind of like, I remember like there's about 3 shows or so, there's more than that, but like ones that like I was like, okay, the animation in this isn't too hard. I think if we're at least close to that, we'll be good. And it was Frisky Dingo, South Park, and then sort of Dragon Ball Z, because Dragon Ball Z has a lot where like nothing like moves too much. I mean, it mixes up between having full animation, then going back to like very like little animation.
Yeah. Those were our 3 bases. And yeah, it kind of shows a lot too. But I would just like to just at least get some closure, because a lot of shit that just gets dropped in at the very end of that show, and I just want to know how it ends. I was wondering if they were just kind of, because you could kind of tell they just kind of make it up as they go along, and they get really lazy. Like one character, the main character at one point in the show, loses all his clothes and has like a wig glued to his head, and for like the next 4 episodes or so, he's just walking around naked. They didn't even bother, like, you know, putting clothes on him. They just use the same character model for no reason. He's just walking around naked for the next 4 episodes. And people are pretty fine with it. They might make a quick joke about it, but generally they just move on and just, you know, whatever. You know. Yeah.
It always makes me wonder, like, that must have been an interesting time period to kind of, like, work on an animated show for Cartoon Network. Because it was, like, right when Adult Swim kind of was, like, just kind of coming out. You know, it was only been around for about a couple of years.
Well, actually, that came out in, I want to say Adult Swim started like in 2001. This show had to come out like in 2007. Yeah, this show had to come out.
I thought
like
it came out when we were in high school.
No, well, it came out like when I think you. I was came out. I want to say my freshman year of college.
Oh, okay. Well, for some reason, I thought that show was,
2006.
I thought that show was a little bit older than that. But whatever. I guess we could talk about like when they did the 2000 or C-Lab 2021, like that period, because that was one of the first Adult Swim shows.
And this was, I think, the way on its way out, because before, like, you would see they had like some canceled shows, they had some anime, and they had these really weird like shows that were kind of inspired by acid trips almost, or just like, you know, just kind of like total stoner comedy. And I think that this was, I think that this is kind of like one of the last ones of that, because after this, everything came out way more like fully animated, way more. Maybe it was still really fucking weird, but but at least it came out like looking like a fully animated show rather than something like a couple of guys like, hey, let's try this out. Okay, you know.
Exactly.
I think Aqua Teen Hunger Force is one of the only original ones still left, and I mean I haven't watched Adult Swim in so long,
Do they
but
still have new episodes on there?
I believe last I checked that was the last one. That was the last like original Adult Swim show to still be running.
Huh.
Now, because
Because
now
I know
everything else,
because they play reruns, so like sometimes like, you never know if that's the case, but that's still
That's
going
not-
on. That's good for them. I mean, that's fucking 14 seasons or so in, probably almost 13.
yeah, that's not to say that like every other show like looks cheap or anything on Adult Swim, or every other show looks well, not cheap. That's not to say that every other show on there right now looks incredibly amazing. But for a long time, all their shows were like, looked like guys that just knew the basis of how this animation program works. Then they just kind of like barely worked around that. All like shots were generally like waist up, so you wouldn't have to animate legs walking most of the time.
Well, that's where I thought that like that was almost like the genius of those early like Adult Swim shows was just kind of like how like sort of like crappy they looked, but they were like material wise was good.
Or they would like recycle animation and just import it into a new background, like the Brack show. Like any animation that was used primarily in the Brack show was old Space Ghost footage. They like cropped out of that and then like dropped it and added just a little bit of information of Brack walking across the screen, which was they didn't even animate. That was like back in the olden days,
Well, that's almost like that goes with just the Space Ghost Coast to Coast, because that's really like the first Adult Swim show pre-Adult Swim, and that one, like, because I watched it like a season of that actually not too long ago, and that one is even simple. Like you remember it being kind of like just a simple animation show where they just rehashed everything, but then you look at it now, it's like holy crap, they really took like they took like 10 animations of Space Ghost, 10 animations of like Zorak, and then just it really just plays off like a handful of different movements. It's amazing. But I guess in 1994 when that show came out, or 95, you could get away with it then. I think that's kind of how it works. You watch it now and it's just like holy crap, is that just like so simple.
There was a guy who I don't remember what podcast I heard him on, but he worked as a editor and a behind-the-scenes guy on a good handful of different Adult Swim shows, and he's like some kind of guy who looks like a total metalhead. He was one of the producers. I don't know if he was a writer, but he was one of the main guys involved with. Now I never saw it, but the Grimm Fairy Tales cartoon.
Oh, okay.
He's the main people involved with that. He's also a guy who has a big hand in Metalocalypse.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, and I want to say he did a lot of like early Space Ghost Coast to Coast stuff, as well as some of those early, he primarily did the technical side of it. And he said when he first went in there, before like Adult Swim was Adult Swim, he says, okay, they want you to, he kind of came in as a freelance editor, and he's like this big tattooed guy. He's like, this is like when Cartoon Network was still a little different. They were still finding their footing. They didn't know what they were doing. I walk in there and say, okay, yeah, here's your workstation. They literally had a computer and a keyboard chained to the fucking desk because they thought I was going to try and steal it. I start swearing. I'm like, you fucking pussies, you fucking hired me and you put this on this? Fucking take that off or I'm not taking the fucking job. Fuck you. Like, these three guys in suits are like, oh, okay. Just like as if I was going to fucking beat the shit.
We made the big man angry.
Yeah.
He might chain us to the floor next.
They literally chained a computer to this. I just imagine.
Did you picture just like a fucking Windows 98 computer, just like with a big chain wrapped around? Yeah. Like almost you can't even see half the picture on it because the chain's taking it up.
It's like, are you fucking serious? Like, because So I just thought it was.
I guess no matter what, you always romanticize about some certain time. You look at like the 70s film industry, and then you look at like the early 90s of Kevin Smith and Robert Rodriguez. But you can almost romanticize about like that turn of the century Cartoon Network time period.
Yeah.
Like you just go like, man, that would have been the time, man, to be in there. When fucking everything was new and fresh, and they had no idea what they were really doing, but that was like freedom.
And I bet everything was probably, I mean, if I had to guess, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm going to guess as cool as it probably would have been for the moment, a bunch of those people probably eventually got laid off once they got shows with like bigger production values and people who had a better idea of what they were doing. Doesn't mean the show was better, but maybe just animation-wise knew what they were doing. You know what I mean?
I feel like that you would have kind of progressed if you kind of worked there.
I hope that's the case. I don't know if
Yeah,
that
not
is
just
the
like,
case,
oh,
because
well, but
the
you can't
Archer
look at.
guys, they 2000 they made a Speed Lab 2021, and they eventually left that because Frisky Dingo went under, and I don't know if it was their own choice to leave or what happened, but they're
That's
not
true, they left.
yeah. So that was one of the main shows was Sea Lab 2021.
Hmm. But then I guess you got Aqua Teen Hunger Force still going, and then what are the guys? Aren't the guys that did Metalocalypse doing something else right now?
I don't know if Metalocalypse is still going on or if
I
they're doing
think that
something
one ended for some reason, but maybe
They have a new show which I kind of started watching a little bit on YouTube every here and there. It's called Mr. Pickles. Have you heard of this?
It sounds interesting. I think I've heard of it before. I've
It's
seen the
about,
title. I want to say.
It's like a 19. It's almost kind of like Lassie-esque kind of in a sense. Like
Mhm.
it's almost like the setting is like sort of this 19 like 50s small town. Like this boy and his dog. The dog's name is Mr. Pickles. The little boy has polio. This fat little kid like, hey, Mr. Pickles is his best friend. Everybody's totally like kind of oblivious to this dog. This dog is actually supposed to be the Antichrist or the devil, something like that, and does horrible, murderous things. But even the way they animate the dog looks
Just
really
looks
sweet.
happy.
Your dog, I mean, no one else is gonna know what I'm talking about. The dog looks like Chucky, your dog.
Mhm.
That's basically what the dog
So
looks
it's like
like.
a border collie, happy, fluffy.
Yeah, super happy. Always the way they animate the dog looks adorable too. And then the dog will go out and like murder people, do these horrible things on the side, then come back, and the grandpa is on the dog. It's like the dog's killing people. I saw him the other day. Oh, grandpa! And the dog always outsmarts him, gets around somehow. And then every so often,
So it's almost like a reverse Courage the Cowardly Dog thing.
Kinda, yeah.
But
But I mean, I got other shit in town's a little fucked up. Like there is, like in this house, it's the 1960s basically. But everything else in town's a little weird and fucked up. Like there's some there's like a hardware store which is also a strip club at the same time.
Huh.
There's like, there's like a part where I thought this was pretty good. There is shit. What was it? There was one part where the grandpa actually no, here's the part. I remember the part I was going to say. There's actually like some beer steroids called beeroids, and some guys are drinking it while out hunting, and at some point like they get attacked by a bear. The bear gets it. The bear just gets totally ripped. The kid goes on a camping trip with Mr. Pickles or whatever, and then like the bear comes in, attacks. Mr. Pickles saves the kid. The kid runs off to go. I don't know, for whatever reason the kid leaves, and then what ends up happening is because the dog starts like speaking in demonic, like its teeth get sharp, its pupils get big, and starts like doing demonic gibberish. The bear then bows down. Then they start playing this death metal song. It's like Mr. Pickles. And it just shows. It's like if you're having the balls to do this, then it just shows the dog fucking this bear, like this sex scene of this dog fucking this like roided out steroid bear.
That sounds funny. I'll have to check that out.
Like in mid scream, like they just cuts like back to happy shit.
It's hilarious. I'll have to check that one out. But I guess it goes to show that everybody at Cartoon Network somehow, some way, at least was able to carry on, whether they were at Cartoon Network or whether they went somewhere else.
Yeah.
Give or take a few people. There might be some sad soul who's like, oh, I used to work at the Cartoon Network, but now I work right next to this trash can.
There's always
so you're the garbage man? No, my home. And I fucking do.
I suck dick for a living. That's what I do.
I used to be an animator, but then once they said we need full animation, not fucking medium shots of the body going up and down, I was kicked out.
That was my staple on the Brack show. And Perfect Hair Forever.
But yeah, well, that's probably a good place to wrap it all up at. So make sure to check out oldmanorange.com. And until then, I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
And we will see you some other time.
Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorange.podcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more,
click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks again, and tune in next week for more Old Man Orange Podcast.